What is up, guys? Welcome back to the Creatively Driven Podcast. My name is Josh McKenzie, and in this podcast, we talk about anything that inspires us, be that through art, music, video, photography. The world is your oyster when it comes to creative outlets, I feel. And today we're going to talk about what makes an image powerful. So if you are thinking of an image through a storytelling aspect, this image is going to be compelling in the sense that you're going to be trying to tell a story through your image. It should be captured in a sense that anybody with not so much background on the story is going to be able to look at it and decipher kind of what's going on. It would be nice to try and convey some of the emotions and some of the context just with that image. And a lot of that is going to play into the effects that what you're capturing is going to have on them. Emotional impact is crucial, whether it inspires awe, like creativity, some passion, maybe some sensitivity to how the people are feeling on that captured image. The way that it's captured is going to be, it's freezing a moment. And in that moment, to me, when I'm kind of thinking of these images, I'm thinking of, naturally my mind wanders to motorsports. I also just watched Senna on Netflix, and that is extremely well done. It was only one season, and it was, the way it was shot was amazing. So naturally my mind is veering to motorsports when I'm thinking of these images, with being able to capture them and to tell a story. Now, if you take somebody with a lineage like Senna had, and the absolute machine that Ayrton Senna was, the reputation built the story, and anything captured of somebody with that kind of a caliber that is basically a legend. And they're not he wasn't trying to beat anybody specifically. He was a racer first and foremost, and he just loved racing, and that's what he wanted to do. And he wanted the best car. He wanted the best team to help him achieve these things. But at the end of the day, Ayrton Senna's drive was passion for racing. I must confess, I don't really know a lot of the backstory apart from what I've seen in the show. However, on a quick research, it did look like it was done very well. Like, the facts were good. And the way they portrayed it was just, I don't know, it was very inspiring, especially from a video standpoint. But the storytelling itself, it was detailed. I was disappointed that it wasn't more than one season, but obviously you can't really change what happens in somebody's timeline. But it was just done so incredibly well. Anyways, so for the emotional impact, right? It's being able to capture somebody's emotions when they are at the end of a race, after that hard-fought battle in whatever vessel they are piloting through that narrative. They come out, they rise above it in the end, and to be able to capture that, like, in that environment is going to be one thing, but the emotion in this person's face is going to tell so many more things than any written article will ever be able to. Obviously, hand in hand, they go together well, and that's going to be very complimentary. But again, with just storytelling through photos, a picture says more than 1,000 words ever could. So to be able to try and convey that is going to be the best way to articulate it if you can. But I feel a lot of that is to be in that moment and just trying to capture everything around it that is going to be encapsulated in that moment. Subject matter, for instance, if you are photographing somebody on a podium, obviously trophies, the racing suits, little piece of that image is going to tell the story of what they're doing, who they are if you don't really know them. But it should give you a good representation of what the story that they're actually writing is in front of you. I think whenever you are in that moment, composition is going to be probably one of your best bets to be able to tell this story. I've talked before in some podcasts where I like to frame things. I really appreciate a foreground to reel you in to the subject. To me, it is part of the story. It's descriptive of where you are. And again, the subject matter in the foreground of that image can tell you a lot about what exactly is happening. If by chance it's needing more explanation, again, that foreground is going to help. The background is obviously the other thing, but a foreground is going to lead you into your subject, and that's part of storytelling. To be able to draw somebody's eyes to the subject, I really try and do that with a lot of my photos, in a lot of different ways, actually. Like, say for some portraits, you want to add maybe a little bit of a vignette, and these are all individually based. They don't have to be, they aren't rules. Rules are meant to be broken, and especially in photography. It's really all about how you see it, and how you see it in your mind may not be how you create it through your camera. So the magic of digital age now is you're able to emphasize things the way that you see fit, and you're able to add little filters and things that help. I don't want to say filters in the sense that people drop a blank filter on an Instagram thing and it completely changes the image. To me, these are just little micro steps to complete the big step that is the picture. But things that are able to draw your eye and your attention to the subject are really going to help. And if you're able to do that with the environment that it is in already, that is going to be that much more impacting when you're telling your story through your photos. And that ties into like your attention to detail. If you are able to pick up little things before you capture it, props to you, because you've noticed that. But I do try and get into my area, frame things up, figure out what is where, what I can do with this thing back here. Oh, this thing up front is actually going to complement that too. So I'm going to get down and low and try and, put all three of these things together to help tie things in. The attention to detail that you're able to put in that moment. I know a lot of these moments go by fast, so it may not be easy. But if you're able to pick up on these things, and I feel like the more you are around specific situations, specific environments, it's going to become easier for you to pick up on these things and put that together in the moment as you're shooting, which it's kind of funny because it does go by fast. I was doing some video work a couple weekends ago, and we had 6 interviews, and we had them done in, I want to say, an hour and a half, but it went by so fast. In the moment, everything was, get there, set up, take a look at what is around them that I can use that for framing. That's going to help tell the story. That's going to show these people who don't know who I'm interviewing. There's obviously, you're going to see their business name or what product they have, that sign and everything is by them. But to be able to actually tell people something about what they don't know without them having to ask is going to be the biggest part of my job as a creator in photography or video. Another take on things could be utilizing more modern things, such as drones. I feel drones can almost tell a story more appropriately in the sake of an environment. Say you're at a racetrack that's, super special and very known for some of its dangerous curves or the long straightaways. If you're on the ground, you may not have that opportunity, but if you have something like a drone to be able to have that bird's eye view and that aerial perspective, it makes a much bigger impact. There's something about drone photography and videography that really it's not something you're used to seeing through your own eyes. And I mean, unless you have a drone, or I was going to get really ridiculous and say like an airplane or a helicopter, unless you're used to seeing things from that perspective, it really does reel you in. It brings your attention in a way that things don't normally do in everyday life. So something like that, I think, is going to give you a bit of an edge with modern perspective. And yeah, if you have the opportunity, I definitely recommend trying to bridge that gap between what you would normally see and something that's going to be special, that's going to really evoke some thoughts and emotions in how people view the work that you're producing. Um, I think ultimately the subject is going to be what we're trying to capture, what we're trying to be descriptive on, and that's going to be the biggest part of our storytelling aspect. Um, I can't really think of any specific. Again, I'm so tied up in the motorsports thing where um, that to me is going to be probably the most prominent ways of seeing storytelling and its powerful images. Um, Although I guess if you, not to get political, but it kind of just popped up in my head where, um, Trump had a bullet graze his face, and arm up in the air, like that is a powerful image. Again, regardless of your political views, I'm not going there, but something that has that much of an impact when you see that photo, um, and you don't even have to be political. To me, if that image tells you everything and encapsulates everything that you need to know in that photo, I mean, it would probably show somebody's fight, or their victory or their loss. And yeah, I mean, if you think of, say, news photographers or any media publications, they are in the thick of it, for better or worse. And the images that come from something like that they've really hit home. I met a guy, John, at Formula Drift, and he worked for, I guess still does work for, I'm sorry, a newspaper in Los Angeles. And some of his work is incredible. It hits home because you don't have to be there to be affected by these images that he puts out. He's there, in the trenches, getting some of these amazing photos that just tell you exactly what's happening. They had the wildfires, and he was there, ground zero, next to the people, the first line people, and he was capturing a lot of truly amazing content. And I think I think it's good to see as a reminder of the resilience that mankind has and what some of us go through and what we can rise above because we just trudge through it. We keep going. I think some of that is really good to see. Obviously, some things are a little more sensitive than others. Like I took some photos in Jasper. I want to say it was the year after the wildfires. Yeah, it was the year after. And I never released them to the public because I was mindful. It obviously does tell stories, but to me, you're seeing a bit of light and dark, and pardon the pun for photography stuff, but it was, the darkness of the fire and the damage that it left behind it in the wake. And the light is some of the greenery that was growing up, the life that was continuing. Life finds a way, as they say in Jurassic Park. And it really was special, and it was a place that myself and my family have been a number of times. Jasper was the first place in the mountains that really stole a piece of my heart, and anytime I'm there, it's just something really special about it. So any photos of someplace like that has a place in your heart, I think is going to really resonate and make a statement. But yeah, if you have any images that you can think of, that if somebody is asking you, give me an example of an image that, you can look at and think like, wow, that's crazy. Like that says a lot. Drop it in the comments. I would really like to see what people think of when they think of powerful images. And again, for better or worse, I think it's all subjective. I'm very open-minded. If you know me at all, you would know that I try not to really get in the way of open-mindedness. I'm an understanding person, and I think that we all need to be a little more open to receiving things nowadays. Anyways, I digress. I appreciate you guys sticking around. Thanks for following along. Subscribe for more creative fire, and follow me along on whichever platform you decide. And I will see you guys in the next one. Take care.